Welcome to the deep dive, and specifically today to our Chat Like a Native deep dive. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone just sounds incredibly self-assured, really clear, even when they're, thinking on their feet?
Oh, absolutely.
And then maybe you hear yourself and, well, your words don't quite land with the impact you hoped for.
Mhm.
Maybe a few too many little verbal stumbles.
It's something we all experience, I think. That gap between what we want to say and how it comes out, sometimes with those involuntary fillers.
Exactly. So today, we're really diving deep into something maybe overlooked in communication. Those little verbal fillers. Things like, or like.
Hmm.
We're going to explore why they creep in, why silence can feel, well, so uncomfortable, and crucially, how to flip that around, how to use pauses strategically.
Right. And our goal today really is to give you some practical tools, moving you from just sort of unconscious habits to much more intentional communication. We want your spoken English to sound not just clearer, but genuinely more assured, more impactful.
Yeah. So if you're aiming to sound more polished, maybe more thoughtful, and really elevate your English so it feels more naturally native-like, then this deep dive is absolutely for you. We'll get into techniques to cut bad habits, sure, but also how to project more authority, make sure your ideas really hit home. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the basics. These words, like so, we all use them sometimes. What are they actually, and why do they just pop out?
Well, fundamentally, they're verbal pauses, sometimes called disfluencies or discourse markers, and we use them often without thinking, really, to buy a little time while our brain catches up, formulating the next thought, finding the right word. It's almost like a mental placeholder.
A placeholder, okay.
And, in really small doses, they can actually make speech sound quite natural, like you're genuinely thinking in the moment.
It's interesting. So it's not always a bad thing,
Yeah.
but it's usually unconscious, right? What are those triggers? Why do our brains reach for them?
Yeah, mostly unconscious. It's often just that raw need for processing time. Especially, think about the cognitive load of speaking in real time. If English is your second language, you might be translating, searching for vocabulary, managing grammar, all at once.
Right. A lot going on.
Exactly. So your brain is kind of prioritizing just keeping the sound flowing, maybe over perfect word choice in that split second.
And that brings us to the big one, doesn't it? Silence. Why does even half a second of quiet feel like a mistake when we're talking, especially maybe for English learners?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Our brains love fluency, that smooth flow. Any pause, any silence can feel like a hiccup, so we instinctively want to fill it. We worry about losing the listener's attention or maybe sounding uncertain. And culturally, in many places, long silences in conversation just aren't the norm. So even tiny gaps feel huge.
Yeah, that makes sense, that internal pressure cooker.
Right. And it prompts us to fill the gap with sounds that, ironically, don't usually add any actual meaning.
And that's where the real issue starts, right? When those maybe okay in small doses fillers become, well, overused. What's the actual damage when we lean on them too much?
Well, when you use too many, it creates this kind of verbal static. It constantly interrupts your main point.
Like bad radio reception.
Exactly like
Right.
that. The message is there, but it's getting obscured. And this really waters down the impact and authority of what you're saying. It can make you seem less confident, maybe less knowledgeable than you actually are. Plus, it slows everything down, makes it harder for the listener to track your thinking.
Hmm.
And this is particularly important in, say, professional settings, job interviews, presentations, anywhere first impressions really count.
Okay, so if fillers are the problem, especially overuse, and our brains are kind of wired to do it, how do we actually break that cycle? What's the strategy? Can't just be think faster.
No, definitely not think faster. The real shift, the powerful one, comes from changing how you feel about silence itself. Instead of seeing a pause as a failure, you start seeing it as a tool, a powerful, intentional communication tool. It's about consciously choosing that quiet space.
That's a big shift in perspective. So doing less pausing actually makes you a better speaker.
Yeah.
How does that work? What are the benefits?
Oh, the benefits are huge. Firstly, it gives you crucial time. Time to think, organize your thoughts, find the exact word you want, no more scrambling.
Okay, time to think. That's key.
Definitely. Secondly, it instantly makes you sound more confident. more assured because you're not rushing, you're not hesitating verbally, you seem in control.
Right.
And thirdly, and this is really important, it gives your listener time to actually absorb and process what you've just said.
Ah, so it helps them too.
Absolutely. Better comprehension, better retention, your message just lands better, you're letting your words breathe.
Okay, that really does make sense. But, breaking an ingrained habit, like saying, it feels tough. How do you actually practice this? How do you use pauses without sounding, I don't know, robotic? Is there a method?
Yes, absolutely. That's where what we call the pause power drill comes in. It's a practical 3-stage exercise designed specifically for this. It helps you consciously swap out those fillers for controlled, confident pauses. And the aim isn't robotic speech, it's natural, assured presence.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Stage 1. This sounds like maybe the hardest part, facing the truth.
It can be, but it's foundational. Stage 1 is all about awareness, just catching yourself doing it. You can't fix something you don't notice, right?
True.
And honestly, most people are quite surprised by how often they use fillers once they really listen. So the exercise is simple. Record yourself speaking.
Record myself, like, all day.
No, not necessarily all day. Maybe during a practice chat or reading something aloud or even just telling a story about your day. A few minutes is often enough to start.
Okay, and when I listen back, what am I listening for specifically?
You're listening for a few things. Which fillers pop up most? Is it, like, how often? And, importantly, when do they tend to appear? Is it before a tricky sentence, after someone asks you a question? Knowing the pattern is key.
Right, finding the triggers.
Exactly. And yeah, it can feel a bit awkward listening back, hearing your own voice like that, but it's so necessary for making real change.
Okay, makes sense. So stage 1 is awareness. Once we've done that, maybe winced a little.
Yeah.
What's stage 2? We know the problem. Now how do we fix it?
Stage 2 is replace with a pause. This is where you actively train your brain. Once you're aware of your filler habits, you start intervening in real-time practice. When you feel that about to slip out, you consciously stop speaking for a brief moment.
Just stop.
Just stop. Instead of the filler, create silence. Gently close your mouth, maybe take a small, silent breath through your nose, and then continue. You're replacing the sound with quiet.
So it's like building a new physical reflex to override the old verbal one. To give you an example, hearing the difference might help.
Sure. Think about saying, I think we should look at the budget first.
Yeah.
Okay. Now compare that to, I think we should look at the budget first.
Wow. Okay. Big difference.
Isn't it that tiny pause in the second one? It removes the filler, yes, but it also adds a bit of weight, a moment of anticipation. It makes the words that follow feel more considered, more powerful.
That sounds much more decisive.
Confident.
Exactly. You're training your brain to find that quiet space, not the filler noise.
Right. But I imagine at first, those pauses might feel weird, maybe too long. How do you get comfortable with the silence itself?
That leads us straight into stage 3. Build pause confidence.
Yeah.
This is all about making silence feel normal, natural, not like an awkward stop. And we use specific drills for this.
Drills. Okay. Like what?
Well, first, there's the 1-second pause drill. You practice speaking on any topic for, say, a minute, and you deliberately, intentionally insert a clear 1-second pause after every single sentence.
After every sentence. Wow, that sounds intense.
It feels intense at first, but it really forces you to get comfortable with that rhythm, that space. Then there's the thinking pause drill. When someone asks you a question, you consciously wait just 2 seconds before you even start to answer. Use that tiny gap to actually form your first sentence properly instead of rushing in with an
2 seconds. Okay. Buys you some thinking time.
exactly. And finally, particularly useful if you give presentations or speak in meetings, the presentation pause drill. You practice a short talk, maybe just a paragraph, and you intentionally pause right before your key points. This does double duty, removes fillers, and adds emphasis. It highlights what's important.
I can really see how doing those drills consistently would make pauses feel less alien. Now, you mentioned presence earlier. It's not just about the words or lack of them, is it?
Yeah.
How does your body language support these pauses? The silent support team.
Spot on. It's holistic. Your physical presence massively impacts how those pauses land. Are they confident pauses or look like you're lost pauses? So, your silent support team includes, first, posture. Shoulders relaxed but upright. Maybe leaning in slightly for key moments shows engagement.
And eye contact must be vital during a pause.
Absolutely crucial. Eye contact. Maintain it with your listener during the pause. Don't look away or up at the ceiling. It shows you're thinking, connecting, not lost. It holds the connection.
Okay, keep the connection.
And finally, breathing. Slow, controlled breaths help steady your pace overall. Pauses feel much more natural when you're breathing calmly, not sounding rushed or out of breath. A confident pause isn't freezing up, it's about calmly owning that moment, holding the space.
Holding the space. I like that. Now, we've been talking mainly about English fillers, and are they universal or do they change across languages and cultures? That must be relevant for English learners.
Oh, hugely relevant. Filler words are very culture specific. What sounds like a hesitation filler in one language might be different in another. So while English has, and the Japanese might have eto or ano, Spanish uses este, pues French has bo. The actual sounds vary a lot.
And that can cause issues for learners, carrying over habits.
It definitely can. If English isn't your first language, you might naturally bring filler sounds or even just the frequency of filling silence from your native language into English. And sometimes those specific sounds or that rhythm can sound a bit jarring or confusing to an English listener who isn't expecting them. So just being aware of that difference helps you consciously choose to replace them with those clear, strategic pauses when you're speaking English.
Okay, so after all this focus on pausing, are we saying you should never use a filler word? Aim for 0 ums? That sounds almost unnatural too.
That's a really important clarification. No, the goal is definitely not 0 fillers. That would sound robotic. Fillers actually have their place. In casual conversation, they can make you sound friendlier, more spontaneous, more natural,
Okay.
and they can be useful strategically too, like softening a disagreement. Instead of a blunt, no, you're wrong, saying, well, I'm not sure I see it quite that way. That little cushions it.
Right, it makes it less direct,
Yeah.
more polite maybe.
Exactly. It can signal hesitation or politeness.
So the real aim isn't total elimination, it's control, intention.
Precisely. It's about moving from unconscious habit to conscious choice. You decide when a filler might actually serve a purpose in your communication rather than them just tumbling out because you needed thinking time. You're in control.
Got it. This really feels like a major mindset shift. For someone starting out with the pause power drill, adopting this pause mindset, what should they expect? Does it feel good right away?
Honestly, probably not right away. When you first start consciously pausing instead of using fillers, it's likely to feel awkward. You might feel like you're speaking way too slowly or that the conversation feels jerky. That's totally normal. Your brain is literally rewiring itself.
Like learning any new skill, I guess. Clunky at first.
Exactly, like learning to ride a bike. It takes practice and patience. Don't get discouraged by the initial awkwardness.
But stick with it, and what's the payoff? What happens when these pauses start feeling more natural? How does it really change things long term?
The long-term benefits are really significant. As pauses become more natural, you start projecting much more authority and presence. Your words carry more weight because they feel more considered. You'll find it easier to choose the right words, improving your clarity and eloquence. And crucially, listeners tend to trust speakers who sound composed and confident. Your message becomes more persuasive.
So it really goes way beyond just cleaning up your speech.
It absolutely does. This pause power drill isn't just about ditching It's about mastering your pace, boosting your clarity, and fundamentally sounding like someone whose ideas deserve attention. It lets your message truly land.
That's incredibly powerful. Okay, for everyone listening who's ready to give this a go, we've got a final practice challenge for you this week. Try this. Grab your phone, record yourself speaking for just 2 minutes. Pick any random topic, what you did today, a movie you saw, anything. Then listen back carefully and actually count or mark every single filler word you used. Might be eye-opening.
It usually is. And then the second part of the challenge. Record yourself again, same topic, same 2 minutes, but this time make a conscious effort. Every time you feel a filler coming, replace it with a short, silent pause.
Okay.
Then compare those 2 recordings side by side. Listen to the difference in how you sound, your confidence, your clarity. It can be quite dramatic.
I bet. It really shows how sometimes saying less makes you sound more powerful. And here's a final thought to ponder this week. How might intentionally embracing silence, using those pauses, change not just how you speak, but how other people actually listen to you? How could it make your words and maybe you more memorable in your conversations?
Some powerful food for thought there. We really hope this deep dive has given you some practical tools to elevate your voice and your impact.
Thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive and for being part of our Chat Like a Native community. We'll catch you next time.